So here's an interesting stat that came out from CMHC about I'll send it to you. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's interesting. They looked at a bunch of cities and they looked at new construction condos. Did you see this? And they said in 2020, 80% of new construction condos sold and closed in London, 80% were to people who were not using them as their principal residence.
Really?
I don't know if I buy it because, and I just think, well, how many, there's most people just think, I call them the beehives, the high rises. It's not like we have 20 high rises going up. We get a sprinkle a year, but there's, that would also be single floor detached condos, townhouse complexes, things like that. 80% is a lot. And I think that number was something like 1,600.
Really?
And I was like, I have a hard time believing in London 16, because to me, that's more, the way they were framing it was a little bit more, these are speculators, where it's like, okay, I'm buying these, I'm going to sit on it for a year or two. Maybe they rent it, maybe they don't, but they're just hoping it goes up 20, 30, 40%, whatever it is. And then they'll sell it, make some money, and go on to the next one. I just I'm being like, I really had a hard time reading this thinking, yeah, right, because here's the other thing. How the heck does CMHC know this? Because that's been a debate in real estate for a long time in Canada. Whenever they talk about foreign buyers, there's no mechanism to really, truly track it.
Interesting. See, I find that, so what I can tell you, and you're right, when you look at some of the buildings that have gone up downtown, I know when a Zooer went in, as a prime example, to get a one bedroom in a Zooer, you needed to put 20 grand down.
Yep.
20 grand down, lock that in for you. I knew a lot of people that went and said, yeah, I'll put 20 grand down on a unit and wait for this building to finish, and then I'll put it back on the market again. So I can see if you look at it that way, but I find 80% high. Yeah. I find 80% really high. I think with that, I think condos are something we need in this city. When my parents moved here in 1960, my parents bought their house in Byron, which was a new home, for 14 grand. Mm-hmm. Now I can
wish you could have bought 20 of them. Eh?
Yeah, really. Eh? And I can premise that by saying it took my dad almost 25 years to pay that house off. At 14 grand. But that said, it was a starter home. We don't have starter homes anymore. No. We don't develop starter homes anymore. We don't develop starter homes in neighborhoods anymore. So really, the starter home has become a multi-unit development. It can be a townhouse. It can be a high-rise. But I think it's really important that we have those, because I think it's really important. One of the things we all grow up desiring is home ownership.
Yeah, home ownership's a really good thing.
It is, and it's a fabulous thing. So we need to be able to get people into home ownership, recognizing this isn't my forever house, but I am being able to put money into something that I can.
So is there any dialogue then going on at the city with respect to, call it like a single family home, but also getting ADUs in them, so accessory dwelling units, or have you ever heard of like garden suites? This is more it started in the West Coast years ago. Yeah. The people call them even like alley homes, where you literally pop up a small secondary house on your property. Is the city talking about any of this?
A lot of discussion around that now, because the province put that in, right? The province made it very clear they want secondary dwelling units on properties. There's some limitations we put on those, and a good example is your property can have 5 bedrooms.
Yep.
So if you have 3 in your house, you could put up a secondary dwelling unit that has 2. If you have 5 in your house, you can't put up a secondary dwelling unit.
What's the definition of a bedroom then?
I think they would draw that out. I think that you define what that is. So I think if you had a house and you said, I've got 3 bedrooms, I've got a den here, and I use it for a den, or I use this for an office.
Yep.
I think you get that flexibility.